Thank you. It's a true pleasure to be here today. It's my second time in Tallinn, and I enjoyed a lot walking around in the old town yesterday evening. Well, that's not the topic of today. I've been working as a consultant for more than 10, 15 years within data and analytics and AI, working for some of the biggest companies like Novo Nordisk, Google, and the Boeing company. So the development we're seeing right now when it comes to AI and data and analytics did not come as a surprise to me. However, a few years ago, I read a book called The Architects of Intelligence, which made me learn something about the kind of revolution and the magnitude of what we're going through. And what I learned was from that technology is working, it's like growing exponentially. To give you an example, when we mapped out, or somebody mapped out the human genome with Human Genomes Project in 1990, it was estimated to take 14 years. It was supposed to be done in 2004. By 1997, only 1% of the human genomes were mapped out. So everybody asked, well, we can do the math, 1% in 7 years, what will the next 99% take? And it showed out that it only took 4 years to get to the rest, to the 100%. So 2001, they were done. And I think right now we are at about the same state when it comes to AI analytics that we were in 1997 when we were talking about the human genome. And what was this? I'm going to show you today, give you a brief insight about where I think we're heading, and then I'm going to show you how you can benefit from some of these things. Well, first of all, it's not new to everyone now. We know where AI and analytics and data is today. However, if I shall give you some examples of why this is important and why this is going to sweep every industry, you can see that, first of all, the data volumes are literally exploding. If we compare 2018 to 2025, we can see that the number of zettabytes that are produced will grow from 33 to 173. I know some of you might think, what is a zettabyte? I know about kilobyte and megabyte and gigabyte and terabyte and peta, and it keeps climbing until we get to zettabyte, just before yottabyte, so just before Star Wars. However, 173 zettabytes, it corresponds to taking all the data that is produced in the global hemisphere and put that on DVDs, and then we can stable it to the moon 23 times and back. So that is how much data we're actually producing just next year. So the second trend that is happening is the explosion in compute power. 10 years from the cloud. 10 years ago, nobody would use the cloud. 5 years ago, some would start using it. Today, everybody's using it. However, the cloud compute power is doubling every year. If that keeps on going for 30 years, this equals to 1 billion times stronger cloud compute power. Try to imagine what the cloud can do 30 years from now. The third thing is the explosion in speed. And just so you know, the reason that investment banks are placing their headquarters very close to Wall Street and very close to the London financial districts is that they trade within microseconds. That's also pretty difficult to understand what is a microsecond. But if we compare a microsecond to a glimpse of an eye, it takes about 400 milliseconds to glimpse the eye. But the correspondence to that is actually corresponding to glimpsing the eye for 14 days in a row. So imagine how many times we can run an algorithm every time you blink an eye. So when you know this, you will see that things will be changing. And this means that the way of working will be changing as well. Today, being data-driven is the absolute, is the bare minimum. I can't tell you the future about what will happen. I can't tell you what will happen 10 to 20 years from now. But I can promise you that there are immense possibilities if you go out and understand what is actually happening outside, and if you use these technologies to leverage your business to get an understanding of the competitor landscape. So, business decisions until now have been taken upon what we knew inside our company. It's been taken about gut feelings, experiences, our own internal data, and these kind of things. However, what makes the difference is for us to succeed, that are the external factors. When we have a business strategy, we want to succeed, right? So what happens in the competitor landscape? What happens with the customers? What happens with the technology development? These are things outside of our own organization. Things that we can't map out and control ourselves. It is impossible for a human being. It would be impossible for all of us in this room to try to grasp what is happening outside. But fortunately, the technology that I just explained about and the development makes it feasible for us to do this. So can we try to decomplexify this a bit to see what is actually happening? What are the possibilities that we see? And if you are a company and you have a strategy, you want to go from A to B, you want to succeed somewhere, you want to open up a new market, you want to sell to a specific kind of business or consumer or customer segment, you want to launch a new product. So you have an idea of where you're going. But the things that are happening outside, such as new delivery methods within this area, or price drops in the market, or new players that enter the market, or change in demand, will actually affect whether you're going to come from one place to the other. And fortunately, companies like ours have now been starting to build solutions that makes it feasible for everyone to get easy access to some of these benefits without you having to use machine learning and understand how to do that, without you having to have the infrastructure or putting it in production and make sure it runs smooth every day. So that is actually why we are in this world. And what we do is, one of our key segments that we work with, we are present in the Nordics and the Baltics as of now, and we'll open up our services in the Benelux within the next couple of months. And just to give you an example of what we do, we look at about 500,000 websites consistently, where we go in and look at, are these websites, are they actual web shops or not? So remove those that are not active. We see if they're under construction or if they have expired certificates. If we can't find a checkout or terms and condition page, then we look at the companies. We go in and look at and boil it down to the 120,000 actual web shops that are in the Nordics and the Baltics. So we look at them and we say, and then we actually go down and map them to specific companies, and this gives about 53,000 companies. We can add different kinds of information about economic information. We can look at the estimated web shop activity. We can predict future growth of these companies. So that is what we do. And actually, as I said, we are running this, and we just ran this machine in the Baltics as well. We've been collecting the data over the recent months. And today, we're actually launching a Baltic market report about e-commerce in the Baltic market. So you can download that after this presentation. But I'm going to show you some highlights and some key figures from this report today, so you can get an idea of what we're talking about. And as I said here, we ran our machine, and I'll just let you guys take a wild guess. You can't write it down on anywhere, but you can maybe explain the person sitting right next to you. How many active web shops do you think that we can validate and verify being active in the Baltics? I'm going to give you a hint. So these are the Nordic numbers. As you can see, in Denmark and Sweden, we find a bit more than 30,000 web shops. And in Norway and Finland, we find a bit less than 15,000 validated web shops. Everybody made their guess? Let's see the result. So it's 25,000, a bit less than 25,000 in the Baltics. And it's around 9,000 are here in Estonia, almost 11,000 are in Lithuania, and a bit more than 4,000 in Latvia. I hope that some of you were close to some of these numbers at least. So, but one thing is, and the thing we want to say here is that if we look at web shops and the e-commerce industry, some of us will know some of us will know the players in the market. We can map out every web shop and measure their volumes on the sizes with different approaches. So if we just look at the numbers of products that a web shop makes available, these will be the biggest ones, and you might know some of them. If we look at revenue or website traffic, we will find some other interesting results. However, if you work in this industry, it is not a big deal to find the biggest ones. It is not a big deal for your competitors to find the biggest ones. You will know them already, and your competitors will know the biggest web shops. Your task is to identify who's the long tail, which ones in the long tail are the ones that has most business potential and business value for you guys. So which ones can we predict will be the ones that will grow? I'm not going to show you that today. You can, but I'm going to show you some other stuff here. So if you are a web shop and you want to engage in a market, one of the insights you would like to know is this the right product category to be in this location? Or is it not the right? Because if you go in and there are too many players in the market, it will be difficult to get a good stronghold here. So we mapped out what would be the expected number of web shops with the expected volumes across the different kinds of, across the different countries. And we compared that to an average of what would be expected based on the 7 countries we're in. And this shows here, on this graph here, that if you're in office supplies and you want to enter Estonia and Latvia, can actually be a challenge. There are a lot of players already. There are more than 53% web shops more in Estonia that work with office supplies compared to what we were looking at. Estimating that we would hit here. Similarly, within baby, that's something that's also quite popular around here. However, if we look at clothes and shoes in Estonia, this is an area where there's heavily underserved. And some of you might think that you know actually that clothes and shoes are an area where there are a lot of web shops in Estonia. And that's completely true. If you look at this graph here, and you look at the orange bar, you would see that it is actually in the top 3. So there are lots of companies that work with clothes and shoes. However, it is drastically underrepresented in Estonia compared to what is available in the other countries in the Nordics and the Baltics. So of course this has an impact on the kind of decisions that you're going to take if you are a web shop owner and you want to engage. Another thing you can look at is what are the market opportunities if you are a last mile carrier? If you want to go in and say, how can we actually try to get the best foothold in our market here? And what we looked at here are, what are the kind of delivery methods that are actually being supplied through the different kinds of web shops across the Baltics? And as you can see, parcel boxes are pretty popular around here, while home deliveries and parcel shops, of course, they are also present. So this means that you can say that parcel boxes are kind of a standard that you need to live up to, but at the same time, if you want to compete on this, you need to have a really, really good offer compared to the others. There's also some debate going around about the Tembi delivery index, which we're launching once a month along with Parcel Locker Central. And one of the issues here is that we see that the prices on home delivery are actually pretty high compared to the prices of shipping with parcel boxes. So that is, and I know that somebody would say that over time this might be going down, these prices as well. If we look at the market share in the region, and we just look at this seen from a perspective of how many web shops are the different delivery providers present in. We don't look at the revenue, we don't look at the volumes, we don't look at the first positions in the checkout. We could do that, but if we just take the number of presences in the web shops compared to the others, this would be the market share. So, but if you're one of those if you're one of those delivery providers, if you're a last mile carrier, or if you're a SaaS company that works towards the e-commerce industry, or if you are another kind of vendor, for instance, a payment provider, or you are a agency and you want to engage here, you might depend on the fact that you're able to integrate with the different technology stacks that these web shops have, or you are able to work with it. So you want to know what should you be good at, and if you're good at some things, where should you actually focus your own efforts? And we can also take a look at this. So if we look at the different kinds of web shops in the Baltics, we find that if you want to have a big share of the market, you should be really good at working with WooCommerce. This is also something we see in other countries, but I think it's really important to understand and see here that there is a difference between being here in Estonia and actually going into Lithuania and Latvia. And sorry for the typo on Lithuania. But you should also be able to work with Shopify or PrestaShop or OpenCart, that are actually some of the biggest ones. One thing I find is interesting is if we compare to the Nordic market, in the Nordic market we actually find that between 10 to 20% of the web shops are based on local technology stacks such as Quick Boutique or MyStore.no or DanDomain, while around here we see some local technology providers, local platforms, but they don't capture as much as of the market. So we just started collecting some of this information in the Baltics recently, and we're going to collect a lot of other kinds of data and make a lot of new kind of predictions in the area. And you will be able to ask yourself, like, how many are selling the same products as you are if you are a web shop, or what technologies are being used and by who will be leading in the categories you're in, and what are their market share. Which kind of products will be trending in the market, and which products should I invest in if I want to be part of this, if I want to take a competitive edge and I want to act before the market here. I would want to know where should I place my bets here. And as I said, we just recently started collecting this information in the Baltics. If any one of you think it could be interesting to get more insights about this, you're welcome to go in and get our market report that is a bit more elaborative than the one the numbers I've shown today. But you're also more than welcome to come by and come up with some good suggestions about things that you think would be interesting for you to know about the market, but also which kind of predictions could be interested for you to see about what will happen in the future in this domain. Then I'm going to be here the entire day, and I would be excited to have some good suggestions from everyone. So this was what I intended to say today. As I said, the market intelligence report is open, and you're also welcome to contact me afterwards if you find something curious or want to ask me questions or whatever it is. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Just stay here with me for a few minutes. So if you have any questions, feel free to use Slido, but I'm going to go ahead and ask the first question. So what was the most surprising thing for you that you found out about the Baltic market?
I think it's compared to other countries that we're working in, it is a highly competitive market. Something is really happening. You can also see that if we walk around here in the hallways outside, there are a lot of players that actually want to engage in the market. And we see a lot of ongoing dynamics. Things change rapidly, almost on a daily basis, but at least on a monthly basis here.
Mm-hmm. So yesterday, you asked a really interesting question, like how many web shops do we think there are here in Estonia? And I said 1,000. My colleague next to me was like, oh, it's maybe 10,000. So yeah. It turned out to be 15,000. So that was really surprising. And yesterday was like an e-Monday thing here in Estonia. And there were maybe 100 websites, which was surprisingly low for me. So obviously that's... very, very interesting statistic for me. But how much in detail does the Tembi analysis go?
Well, we got information about the number of products, the types of products, delivery times, delivery prices. We got information about the companies, the sizes, the technologies, and you can basically work with all of these data and put them together in different ways. So you can get really into detail. We will be able to follow each product and see if we look at a product that works with I don't know, a lipstick or a specific brand of lipsticks. We're actually able to see where they are, how many web shops they would be present in as well at the same time.
And how much do you charge a customer? Like if there's a small e-commerce business here today trying to make it in the beauty world, for example, how much does it cost for them to use Tembi?
It depends a lot. Are you big? Are you small? How many companies or how many people are you that will be using this? What are you using it for? So there's not like one fixed price, but one of the
What's
ideas,
the starting price?
But one of the ideas about this is that it's going to be that it's affordable to anyone. Because if you had this possibility to do this and you want to ask a consulting company or you wanted to do it yourself, I tell you it would cost you millions of euro just to get to where we are at for the time being.
Wow. So here's an interesting question, last one for this time. What future do you predict for carriers?
What future I predict for categories?
Carriers, yeah.
For the Baltics, we just started picking up the data, so I would say that's too soon for me to tell. But I'll promise you that we will reveal this in not too far, not too distant future.
All right, thank you so much. Give a big applause to Kristian. Thank you so much.